Welcome to this week's episode of Amanda Makes a Mess. I'm Amanda, and as you can see, I have already made a pretty big mess. Um, but we will be making this even bigger. Uh, this is a Scrawlrbox, but it's the April one, it's not the May one. We're going to go back and revisit the April Scrawlrbox again, because last time I used this, I created an interesting effect that looked like stained glass, but I used watercolor to do it. I'll put a picture of that drawing up now since I don't have the drawing right here with me to show you. But that's what I created, and the wax from the pencil I used kept the watercolor contained within the area that I put it in. It wouldn't go over the wax. And it created like some interesting gradients, and it gave it a kind of stained glass effect. So, but that was an accident. Me creating that was an accident. This week, I want to go back and use these same supplies. This is even the paint that I used. I want to see if I can revive that. I want to go back and use these same supplies and see if I can create that effect on purpose. So that's what we're going to do for this week's video. So for my subject for this week's drawing, I didn't want to do anything that was too complicated or too detailed, I guess. I wanted to do something that didn't take a lot of thought or, I guess, effort because I was lazy or something to draw, because the focus wasn't really on the drawing, it was on the painting and seeing if I could get that kind of stained glass effect that I accidentally got with the watercolors the first time I used them. Uh, that backfired a little bit because these roses came out more complicated and more detailed than I had actually intended for them to come out. And I made a lot more of them than I really should have, but uh, in the end, I do like it. I painted the leaves on the roses first because I still hadn't decided what color I wanted the roses themselves to be. I just knew that I wanted to include a lot of different colors in this painting. Uh, so I did end up like pretty much using every color of the rainbow, which might have been a little too much. I did actually end up having some problems with uh, using the watercolors this time around. Um, yeah, so the first problem was mostly me, and it's coming up right here. You can see what happened. And the first mistake, here it comes right there. I stuck my hand in wet paint. And so I tried to wipe it up, but I really was not successful at all with that. It speared. And here I am right back at it, sticking my hand in the same spot. And at that point, the damage was already done, and it didn't really matter that I stuck my hand in wet paint for the second time, and then the third and fourth immediately after that, because the paint had already smeared into the rose. And honestly, I don't think it ended up being that much of a problem, because I didn't even notice it when I was painting that rose. So the color that I used on it must have gone over it well enough to hide that green smear. I guess we'll see here in a minute when I get around to painting that one. But yeah, I don't remember it being a problem. So after the red rose, I painted the second one orange. I've never seen an orange rose, but you know, you gotta keep with the colors of the rainbow in the rainbow order. So the orange is actually a color that I mixed. Uh, I think it could have looked a little more orange. It looks a little brownish, but I was satisfied with it, and it does dry orange. Here's the rose that I had the little accident with. You can see here that I've got way too much color, or way too much water in that yellow, and the water, the paint is water, whatever. It's just kind of laying on the paper. It doesn't really sink in. It doesn't really dry very well. Um, yeah, that actually was causing some trouble too. And coming up here is my second mistake, although it does not involve watercolor. This one is more about the camera angle. And here we go. There's first time I have ever done this. Here is my head accidentally in the camera, and you can see my blue hair. But hey, at least it's nice color blue, right? And I guess blue hair is a nice lead in to me painting the blue rose. I've never seen a blue rose in real life either, but I actually think this one came out pretty good. I did get the different color tones that I really wanted with this one. It's the next blue one that it really caused me some problems. I actually had to get out the Posca pens with the next blue one, but I did that off camera. Um, yeah, there you can see the blue and the orange are bleeding together, and I tried to wipe it off. Uh, that went okay, I guess, but then I did the same thing, putting a wet color right back against wet color, so yeah. Um, this purple is also a color that I mixed with the red and the blue because Scrawlrbox didn't give me a purple, but I didn't really need one, I guess, because it mixed well enough. Uh, I do think I should have put more red in it because it did come out a very purplish blue, but I am pretty much okay with that, and it worked the way I wanted to as well with getting the different tones of purple. Uh, the only one I had trouble with getting the different tones was the yellow, and you'll see here in a few minutes when I do the second blue rose, I did have some trouble getting the different tones with it as well. Okay, so you saw me paint one rose in each color at a reasonable speed. Let's go a little faster so no one gets too bored with this, because honestly, I am getting too bored with this. I'm trying to make this a shorter video because we do not want any more of those 40-minute videos. That was just painful for me to edit and probably for you to watch as well. So I did actually manage to cut almost 3 hours of video footage down to, I think, about 14 minutes, maybe a little less than 14 minutes. I'm trying to work on my editing and make things, I guess, go faster, flow better, just generally make it more interesting. So here is that second blue rose. It's the one that gave me problems, and here is where the big tragedy in this video happens. And it pretty much just happens because I am an idiot and I did something really stupid. So yeah, um, you can see right here I put wet paint next to wet paint and it bled together. And then I did exactly the same thing again and had to wipe it off again. And I kept doing the same thing over and over because I did not learn from the first time. See that right there? There it goes again. Although by that point there wasn't much of the orange left. Uh, yep, there we go, wiping it off. But this rose altogether just gave me so much trouble. I don't know what was wrong with it. I mean, it was partly me with the wet paint against wet paint, obviously, but and yep, there we go. It's bleeding again, and yep. Eventually, I did get something I could live with, and I colored over some of the darker blues with a white Prismacolor pencil to get the different tones of blue that I wanted to lighten it up a little bit. It worked, but I feel like it would have worked better if I had waited for the paint to dry first. And yeah, we don't come back to that tragedy later because I did the next part of it off camera. I fixed it with a Posca pen. So you don't get to see that. Here's the next purple rose. I don't think I had any problems with that. Actually, the rest of the video, I don't think I had any problems. It was just that one rose that was the big issue. I did get an uneven number of roses though. So there's 3 each of red, orange, and yellow, but then there's only 2 blue ones and 2 purple ones. Although after the fight I had with that second blue one, I'm kind of okay with not doing any more of that. I think I just got too much water in the blue watercolor when I revived it, and that was my big problem because I don't think I got as much water in the other ones. I used a spray bottle, so that made it harder to control it. I painted the background off camera, and then I tried to outline it with a Sharpie pen, but that wasn't giving me lines as big as I wanted. I wanted uh, wider lines, and I wanted some variety in the line width. So eventually I ended up switching from the Sharpie pen to just a random brush pen I had laying on my desk. I don't remember what brand it was or anything, but I redid the outline around the border, and I did kind of achieve that stained glass effect I was after, but uh, the background, the spaces between the roses were too big. So the last thing I did to this was go into the background and divide up those spaces into smaller triangles. Then it pretty much had the effect I wanted, even if some of the colors didn't go as well. But like I said with the blue, I think when I revived the colors, I just got too much water into some of them. Next time I'll use an eyedropper or a syringe for that. So yeah. So I'm about to lose my voice because I have a sinus infection again, and that I think that's about it for this video anyway. So I will see you next week. I upload every Saturday at noon, and don't forget to like, subscribe, share the video. Anything helps me out. I said I would have my social media links up this week, but I did not get that finished. So if I'm lucky, that will be up next week. Um, so yeah. And here is the final look at what we made this week. I will see you next week. Goodbye.